Welcome to Always with Awareness. My name is Douglas Ludmell.
And I'm Awa Ludmell.
So today we're going to talk about loneliness, disconnection in the digital age. So we've kind of hit on this before, the issue of, how are we more connected than ever? And yet we're seeing signs of more disconnection and more loneliness than ever. And it's not all social media's fault, and it's not all the screen's fault. So I want to dive in. Obviously, that's a part of it.
Yeah.
That's the part where everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
But I want to dive deeper. I want to really understand what's underneath all this. Because there's some fundamental change that the screens are just a sign of versus the problem in and of themselves.
Yeah. It's never the thing that shows up up front, right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely not helping, I have to say.
Not at all.
Yeah. When you have a tool that, like the phones, that keeps you entertained, and you feel like it's real because somebody's on the other side liking your videos or commenting. You feel like you belong to, you are heard. But it's really signaling, personally, I think, a lack of communication, a lack of belonging. And as much as we want to blame social media or the teenagers, I think us adults have a lot to do with it. We live a time where we all running. Look at just normal family in America. Both parents are working. They have to work. It's just the way the system is designed. Yes, we wanted it as women, feminists. We want to be out there. We want to fight for our independence, ourselves, and everything has a cost. And I think it's the cost that coming home to a house where both your parents are not there. What do you have left? Your computer. After you do your homework, you're lonely. Your friend is at home. Parents are not there either. And you are playing your games. And it's the same for the parents. You come home, you're tired, you need to rest. So what to do? You just isolate with your phone.
Yeah.
But what it shows is more and more we're saying we don't need each other. We don't need the human touch. We don't need the human interaction. And there's a study, I don't know where, when, you can Google that when when a child is born and no one touches that child, after some days, weeks, they die.
Yeah, that's a famous from World War II. They actually did this. They didn't touch them, and they wanted to see what language they would learn growing up, and they didn't get to grow up because without touch, the children didn't survive.
Exactly.
So I agree with you, and I actually back this up because this problem didn't start with the screens in the 2000s. It started with this change in the family dynamics.
That's right.
And I really put the blame on the priority shift to money being the main driver. And to this day, we're suffering over this being the main driver of our society still.
Yes.
This money is what everybody values above all else. Above their family, above their wife, above their kids. They want money, and they think they're doing it for those people. They think they're doing it because they need to provide.
Yes.
But there's this subtle pressure of enough is not enough.
Yeah, well, this is so funny because now we have more things, but it is a time where we feel so disconnected, not only with others, but with ourselves. I remember one day a friend of mine, I was living back then in Paris. And of course, the drive was money, right? I was modeling then, and I had a second job where I was this manager in the blues club, and I was making good money. And back then, I couldn't go home, and I wasn't saving either.
You were living high.
I was living high.
Yeah, like most of us do when we get our first good job.
Exactly. And I remember that friend of mine who was wealthy but didn't look nothing like it. I mean, if you see him on the street, you would want to buy him a sandwich. So, and we were having a different relationship with money.
Yeah.
You know, money for me was to spend. It was just like the more the better. And for him, with all the money, he wasn't living. And one day we had to share, and he said, I have to tell you this, Awa, be careful with this pursuit of money. He said, the day I became a millionaire was the day I wanted to commit suicide. I was like, what? What do you mean? He's like, there is nothing like having all the money in the world where you can buy yourself everything and you're still empty. That's when he realized it wasn't about the things.
Yeah.
And the money was the motivation to climb the mountain, but arriving at the top was not what was exciting. It's just the journey to the mountain,
Yeah, the climb.
the climb.
Yeah.
And it took me years and years and years for me to, today I can say to him, thank you, you were right. Because this pursuing money for things, for just closing a gap, the emptiness that we have within us, that's what is keeping us lonely.
I
Because
think so.
there is that hole within you that there is nothing outside of you that can fulfill. You have to know that and believe that for money to even serve you.
Right.
You know, and that's why I said it's not about changing where we are or blaming a tool. It's about closing that gap, that emptiness within us. And you're going to tell me how to do that, right? And how to do that is to re-educate ourselves, prioritize what really, and I think for me, is being present. Presence, unfortunately, is something that is not anymore valued, not for us, the adults, and not for our kids. And I see that our kids are taking the path of the adults.
Distraction.
Distraction. And we can't stop them because we're in it with them.
Yeah.
It's just like, as long as you're doing some kind of drugs, whoever is doing that drug, you can't be fully saying, don't do it. Because you know you haven't done your work yet. You can't teach until you really get the lesson. So we all just feel guilty. And when we teach, we're doing out of that guilt. But we know we're not done yet. We, the adults, are not fully fulfilled with who we are, to be able to pass it along. And what it does is the kids are feeling lonely, and we are feeling lonely. And we have to really own it, that we are lonely. Left alone with our thoughts, we're fidgeting. We need to close that gap. We can't stay with ourselves. And when you go then to want to have a conversation with anybody, you feel how they are the same. And then what does it do? You go back to your old self.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. And I'm for talking about it, seeing it for yourself, and to see what are you missing? And Ruby said, whatever you are missing is because you are not giving.
Yeah. Well, we are busy
Busy in
with
here.
making money or achieving. Some people, it's school that they never want to leave because they just want to keep achieving in another degree. Some people, it's their business. They just want to keep building and building and building. Some people, it's their work, their job. They just want to keep working to build up. Whatever it is, that busyness. When we're busy, we're not lonely. We're busy. I'm busy.
Yeah.
I'm actively busy, so I don't have time to be lonely. What I see, working with thousands of clients, is that in the busy stage of their life, when they're making the most money, when they're building their businesses, when they're the most busy, that's when their kids are in those teen years.
Yeah.
That's like it's really a tough dynamic because the parents are in their biggest money earning years, the teens are in the last years you have left with them, and it's the hardest to connect. It's the hardest to find the time to be present with each other.
I know.
And so what I see happen is just this missing of that.
Yeah.
And then as the kids leave and as the work starts to go down, you've achieved it, you've made it, you can slow down a little bit. Now you're asking for where are my kids? I want to connect, and they're busy with their life, with their first jobs, with their families, with their kids. And it's like the Cat Stevens song, the cat's in the cradle. It's just you miss them, you miss it.
Yeah.
And that's again just a sign, right? It's a sign.
It's not the problem.
It's
It's
not
the
the
sign
problem.
that there is a problem.
It's the sign. It's just like in medicine. You look at the symptom and you go, "Oh, my problem is my elbow," and they're like, "Yeah, actually, that's not your problem. Your problem is inflammation, which is coming from your diet, which is coming from your stress levels and your cortisol." This is the sign.
Yeah.
And it's true with that. So the screens are a way that now we can all stay busy all the time.
Yeah. And again, what is busy? If you're asking yourself, "Oh no, I'm not busy. I'm fine." Well, I'm sorry. One sign of busyness for me is having that ear thing on your ears, 24 hours.
Yeah,
Do
the
you see that
AirPods
now?
just always in.
Those ear pods, and they're talking with the ear pod.
Or they're just listening, or
they're
just
listening to-
Sometimes they just have them in and they just don't take them out, and they're
Never.
in conversation with you, and they're still not taking it out. You don't know if they're listening to something, and they're talking to somebody else, or they're with you.
I can't take it. I mean, it's just like, please, if you are one of those that have your ear pod, one, by the way, one is even worse because one is like, I am here, but I'm not here. Just keep talking. I'm going to have one here. It's like, what are you doing? Which part of you cannot be right here, right now, with this person?
Yeah. So now I want to ask. We're not going to stop pursuing success.
No,
We're not going to get rid of screens.
no.
We're not going to change technology. AI is not going back in the bottle. Neither is social media. Neither is blockchain. Nothing is going to go into reverse, right?
Yeah.
So how do we navigate this? What is the formula for navigating this terrain?
I think, Doug, it's just like AA. You have to reach rock bottom, or if anything, know what rock bottom looks like. If we keep going the way we're going, there will be more mental illness. There will be more sickness. And there will be more loneliness. Why? We can't keep on doing the same thing and expect a different result. We are that child that without presence, without the voice of a human, and without the touch of a human, will die. that child within us is still here. So we living life as of we. It's like, okay, I'm an adult. The child is dead. The teenager is dead. No. They all in here, and they all have their needs.
Yeah, none of them go away. They're
They
still
don't
there.
go away. You grow out of something doesn't mean that your needs, your natural needs, are evolving. It's just saying, oh, yeah, I'm not going to drink water forever and I'm going to make it. No, this body, this human form comes with something. You can't say, I'm not going to eat ever and I'm going to make it. So it's the same. The child in you that need that human touch, and when I say human touch, is in different ways. It could be physical, mental, emotional. It's still within us.
Yeah.
And if you don't, and that's why there's so many teenagers getting suicidal now. Why? Because they are not heard and they are not seen. It's good to have somebody there saying likes, commenting on your thing, but you're empty. You know all day, your mom didn't see you, your dad didn't see you, your grandma didn't see you. Nobody had asked you for real, how was your day? And you know yourself that the meal you just had, you had just because you had to eat, but it wasn't joyful, it wasn't shared. So we cannot keep on going until we acknowledge that we are a whole being and there are so many parts of us that needs to be harmonized for us to feel complete and healthy.
So what I heard is step one is just acknowledge.
Acknowledging it, acknowledging that you have different needs and those needs have to be met. And as society, thinking about it, well, before society, I think as each of our families, because society is just multiple families, it starts at home first. You are the representation of that society. So I think my answer to that is really that. Are we going to look at it? And if you look at your teenager and you go like, well, okay, maybe this is his way of saying, I don't belong. If I have this thing all day, I don't belong here with you here. I'd rather be out there because there I am heard.
Yeah. So I agree. The only way you can ever address anything is to acknowledge that you've got the problem.
Exactly.
And that we are not getting all our needs met. We're not meeting them ourselves. We don't know how to meet them. We are likely not meeting the needs of our family to the greatest extent. Our children, our spouses, we're deficient in some way.
Yeah.
Not deficient as in guilty, wrong. No. Just deficient as in not fully efficient.
And not knowing.
That's it. And not
knowing
understanding
what to do, not understanding where to start.
So that's my next question. Now that, let's say I'm sitting here watching the show and I'm like, oh my God, that's me. Yes, I acknowledge that. I definitely am not clear, scattered, pursuing, checked out when I'm with the people I want to be checked in with, but don't even know how to check in. Once you acknowledge that, then what's the next step?
Well, first of all, the next step for me, and I know you always laugh at me, my husband loves to send text for anything. And I'm like, why aren't you picking up the phone? I don't text. Why? Because the back and forth with the text is more work for me than picking up the phone, hearing the warm voice of the person, and it's faster for me because we can decide already on something instead of going to 10, 20 texts before we know where we're heading. First of all, is to just wanting to hear people again. Somebody's voice being something nice to hear again. Can you believe it? People can be on text and never hear a voice.
Our kids all the time will say, "Did you talk to so and so?" Oh yeah, I talked to him today. And what they mean is we've been texting. They don't mean I talked with him.
How sad.
They mean I've been texting them.
It's sad.
Well, I mean, I get it, right? There's an efficiency to text. You don't necessarily need to have a full conversation every time. You just need to check, next Thursday when you're doing something. You don't need a call for that. However, I agree with you. We are avoiding, and there's studies now that children, kids, teenagers in particular, are anxious when the phone rings.
Yeah.
They're anxious. They're not comfortable with the phone ringing, even with their parents. They want to text.
I think I know why. Because they don't. If you don't know how to talk, texting with the emoji and the thing is easier.
Oh, of course it's easier. Plus, you have more time. You can think about it. Did I say that right? You'll see. They'll sit there and think about the text. Is this the right thing? Whereas talking, you have to be pretty much on it. You can't sit there and go, "Hold on, let me just think about a response." You're in it. You're in conversation.
I am so outdated. I'm sorry.
Well, and this is the way things work, right? They go in waves. They come out of style. They go back into style. So what I think is that talking is going to come back into style.
I hope so. I pray. I pray so.
But
not talking that doesn't mean anything, but just interacting, and I hope hug is coming back.
Yeah.
I hope that really shaking hands with looking at people's eyes is coming back.
Yeah.
I hope that really asking a question when you really mean to sit to hear the answer is coming back. And not only with kids, even with adults, like I said, so
So I have my own answer to that question.
Okay.
What the next step is, and it's what you said. And I would just reframe it as it's just taking small actions to change your lack of presence into presence.
exactly.
So if you happen to be sitting with somebody at lunch or even on the phone, give your full attention. Don't be on the phone as well and trying to do three things. Give your full attention. I can tell you from experience, I am a multitasker. I just, I guess it's a little ADD that, you can't really just stop and focus on one thing.
I didn't say it, you said it.
One thing and so I noticed this. I would be talking with my clients.
Yeah.
And I'm very good about just stopping. I like to be in front of my computer. I like to be seated. I like to have a headset. I like to be very focused and just listen. But there are times when all of a sudden my mind will start to wander, and I'll think of something. I'm like, oh, I need to make a note so I don't forget, and I'll click and I'll go to another screen, and then the next thing you know, I'm kind of checked out and letting them go, and the energy shift I can feel is so real.
It is.
They can feel it. I can feel it. And then when I notice it, I'm like, whoa, and I bring myself back into being fully present with them.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do.
No.
And in person, it's even hard to do.
That's right.
Because you could be sitting there, your phone is on the table like
Yeah.
that. And, they say even having your phone on the table
Yes.
is putting a barrier between.
Oh, absolutely.
So just having your phone out of sight
Yes.
is a huge thing. So taking your phone and putting it on, I actually put it on the floor whenever I can. Because, I don't like it in my pocket when I'm sitting because I can't reach it, but I don't like it on the table.
Yeah.
I like it close but out of the way.
Yeah.
And so then it's not in my vision, right? So it's just taking whatever you can do and adding presence to it. So if you think of somebody and you need to talk to them about something and it's really more than just one text, pick up the phone and
Pick
call.
up the phone.
Ring them. And if they don't answer, leave them a nice voicemail,
Exactly.
which people are nowadays surprised. They're leave me a text. Don't leave me a voicemail. I actually put that on my email. Don't leave me a voicemail. Leave me a text.
Well, and all those little things matter because I, I'm so happy you share that about yourself because I know that. I know that shift. And that's why I never want to multitask when I'm talking with somebody.
Yeah.
And it's the same. I remember telling you, if you are on your phone, I will wait till you get out the phone if I have to go somewhere to really have your attention to say bye.
Yeah.
Right? Those things, those are little things that we do. You go, you never know when you're coming back, and you have the people you love in your house. Take the time. A bye is a hug or look into the eyes. I mean, it's just not like we're living this life where I love you means just as much as I like you, or even something that means less, like, okay, I'm just fulfilled, I'm just saying something. You know, we're not present, we're not looking at each other in the eyes anymore. You know, adults are uncomfortable doing it, and so is our kids. Yeah, the eyes, they say, are the door to the soul for a reason. Is to lock in that love again. And what it does, not only for the other person to feel like seen and heard and connected, but for yourself. If you're sensitive enough, you'll see how your own nervous system shifts just by looking at somebody directly in their eyes, in a soft way, or the distance between you and them. We're not looking at the distance between you and the person to see the energy that is holding you together, just there, you know. And I think that's why, really, Alzheimer, all these mental issues we have, is we are so dry. We're not dry because we're not drinking water. We're not dry because we dehydrated of vitamins. We are dry because we're lonely. We're very lonely. As we the humankinds that have the most things that should celebrate every day, and yet we are not.
Yeah.
We are not. We're not celebrating the meals. We're not celebrating even having a new iPhone now because we already know what it is. We're so excited about it so many times. You buy your son an iPhone, you think he will celebrate for days. I mean, 5 minutes later, you find the new iPhone left somewhere. That's how much we are untitled, tired of the new. I mean, nothing matters anymore. I mean, a new car, okay, yeah, it's a new car. A week later, you're looking for another new car.
And
things are going too fast.
Yeah.
You know, for us to lock in even our success around it. We're all suffering our success.
Well, it's back to you. If you're looking for your happiness from the outside,
Exactly.
you can get it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That new car will give it to you for 5 minutes. Yeah. That new iPhone for 5 minutes. I mean, if you're really lucky and you buy something really big, maybe it's a day or two. Like,
I know.
wow, okay. But then it's going to put you right back to where you were.
Yeah.
So, what I would say is notice first. You have to notice. If you can't see it, you can't change it, and you don't even know what the problem is. So just notice it. Notice when you're disconnecting. Notice when you text instead of call. Notice when you're not connecting and looking people in the eye, even when you're with them. Notice how you just leave the house yelling bye instead of coming to your wife and saying, honey, I'm going, in the eyes, a moment.
Yeah.
Notice. And then as you notice it, choose to just start changing one thing at a time.
Yeah.
So I would challenge you, the next time you think that of anybody in your life, anybody that you think, oh, call them. Just pick up the phone and call them and see what happens.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's the one that changed my life.
Yeah, you started doing that. I remember you would think of somebody and you would just go, oh, I'm thinking about them, and then you would just call them right in that moment. And it was amazing because people were always, well, first of all, if you're thinking about them, it's usually because they're thinking about you.
Yeah. And our family, we do it a lot. I'm so happy when I get my nieces that say, you came to my mind, and I call.
Yeah.
You know, there's something about hearing somebody's voice that you love so much, and to share something. You never know where it goes. It always go where a text can take you,
Yeah.
or email. You know, so again, just pay attention, and it is very vicious. It's like being an addict. See how you are organizing your life, adult or teenager, whoever you are, around that phone, where you are ready to lie even about, I'm just going to check this, but it's just to get to it. I'm sure you recognize yourself, because I recognize myself, and I see how people are doing it. You know, oh, you know, honey, let me try to look at it or Google it. Next thing you know, you're there. But that was just an invitation. And by the way, your child or your husband is going to say, oh, yeah. And now you have allowed everybody to go back into that place, because you feel awkward in being together.
Well, I mean, I remember just the other day, you said something. You said, "Can you check?" And I was going to go to Google, but all of a sudden I saw, oh, there's 2 texts, and so I started answering them. And the next thing you know, you were like, "And do you remember why you went?" And I'm like, "No." I didn't know why I even picked up the phone. All I know is that I picked it up with one intention, and I ended up down a rabbit hole of a whole nother place.
I wasn't talking about him.
Well, look, I mean, if you can't see it, you
Exactly.
can't change it.
And,
So.
and you know, and it's, don't be harsh. Don't be hard on yourself.
No, be
Don't
easy
be hard.
on the opposite. Be easy on yourself.
Don't be easy. But you know, I think just listening to this video with your family, with your loved ones, and laugh about it, and keep each other accountable. You know, just like I did. You know, can you believe it? I'm there in bed. We're having this beautiful breakfast. My husband bring the coffee, and next thing you know, I don't know what I said, and he said, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, ask ChatGPT," and here he goes.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a text. It happened to be something that it was work related, so that always throws me into, oh, let me get this done. Let me answer it, and boom, I was off.
You know, those examples. And again, you know, this is not, you're not at fault. You're not being blamed. It's happening to all of us. We all in it. But all we're saying is, let's not lose our power. Because really, if I ask any of us, what would you prioritize? We will all prioritize a real discussion, a meaningful one, a loving one with our loved ones that are with us. Mm-hmm. That will be our priority. How do I know? Because that's mine, and I'm sure that's yours. Mm-hmm. And if you're not having that, and you are living like an addict who wants to stop, can't stop, but see the damages, can feel guilty about the damages, don't know where to start, we're saying, you're okay. You can start right where you are, right now. Put the phone. Invite your family through this discussion, through this podcast. Every one of you will acknowledge, and you keep each other accountable. Tell your son, when you go there, when you have this thing on your head, which is iPod, whatever that is, that you're saying you're watching, listening to music, can you stop when you come home? Because when you will, I will too. And recognize that you are yourself an addict, and you need your son to help you. Us, the adult, we are the addict number one. And maybe our kids will help us. Instead of being angry and say, how about you, you're doing it too. It's like, Mommy, that's the moment where you said you needed help. And when your kids do that, you stop and they stop. And then maybe you can come again into creating a meal, a walk to ice cream. I mean, we the society that have everything at hand, and yet it's not serving us. Before, an ice cream was a whole event. You walk to it. you walk back. It's a family thing. Now, we're buying it so that they have it, so that we can be on our phone. So that they can have it without having to bother us. And they have it sitting down with the phone playing. I mean, let's look at again what we have created. Not that it's bad. It's just in the long run costing something bigger. And that something bigger is the love that we said that we had for one another. Really, I think that's the problem.
So that's a different take on loneliness. It's
It
not the
is.
screen's fault. That's a sign of an underlying illness,
Yeah,
which is a disconnection, which is a loss of priority
exactly.
and a loss of presence.
Yeah,
And so the job is just to be present, to notice that you're not present, to reprioritize, to maybe, choose not work sometimes
yeah.
over being with family and connecting.
And those of you that have it already, I say chapeau. Really, you've been an inspiration. Thank you. Thank you for doing your work. Thank you for being those kind of families that are very rare now. And we're all looking forward to having that. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. So
Yeah.
thank you for joining us on this episode of Always with Awareness, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.